Welcome to The Point is a production of Nationwide at 90 FM. We're coming to you from S Hotel on St. Lucia Avenue in New Kingston, two locations where S Hotel does tremendous business here in Kingston and, of course, in Montego Bay, St. James. Hotels of different profiles. If you are into business and you have business to conduct, then the city location is best for you. If you want to get away, relax, and unwind, then you are best advised to use the location in Montego Bay, St. James. The Member of Parliament for Western Portland is my guest on the 5th episode of The Point is. He's the Minister in charge of Energy, Transportation, and Telecommunications. He's a man who's been involved in politics for several decades, and he first bit his teeth into the representational side in 1986, the year of Maradona's World Cup. And in 2026, when Maradona's successor, Lionel Messi, is on track to lift his second world title, Daryl Vaz returns for a tour de force, and he is sitting to my left. Welcome, Minister.
Morning to you, sir. Morning to your viewers, listeners.
Thank you very much. So we obviously have to start where the hot topic is concerning that matter that you brought to court against the PNP General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell, and you have left with what you believe is a satisfactory outcome. He has apologized publicly, and I'm certain that you view the outcome of the matter as vindication for what you have been through over 40 plus years.
100%. It is poetic justice that it would have been the now sitting General Secretary that would have found himself in this position, because it was an orchestrated political smear campaign that started when I ran as councillor for the first time in 1986. And obviously it has lived with me ever since, and it has been raised in every political campaign that I've been involved in, both internally and externally. So the fact that he was forced before the trial to give an unequivocal apology, and also stating there that it was baseless, has given a closure to a 40-year-old rumor, probably the worst political rumor and smear campaign against any politician in the history of Jamaica.
In 1986, when you ran for the councillor seat in the Waterloo Division in St. Andrew, your opponents that day, do you remember those names?
Yes.
Leroy James and Jerome Townsend.
Sure.
Yeah? You won by what? 129 votes. Yes. There you go.
Very strong PNP division, by the way.
At that time, were the rumors strong, or were the rumors mere whispers, or the rumors didn't exist
No,
at the point?
it started then. Mm-hmm. It actually started.
In the campaign for that seat?
It started in the campaign by graffiti on Birdsucker Lane.
That's in Barbican?
In Barbican, which is exactly where I was running. You had the Waterloo Division and the Norbrook Division. I was in the Waterloo Division, which encompassed Barbican.
And you see, the reason I go back to there, Minister, is this. Youngsters ask me, so George, how is it that the Minister of Arts came to be associated with singing in the first place? Where did it come from? Was he close to the family? Did he know the younger? Did he have an interaction with her? How did someone just pluck his name at random and associate it with this thing?
That is what is left to be known. The truth of the matter is that people have come to me over the years that are not on my political side and have whispered to me as to how they think it started and where it started. But it was orchestrated. It wasn't something that somebody just woke up and flew a kite. It was absolutely orchestrated and designed against me during that election. And it started in that election, but the unfortunate tragedy of Diane Smith happened in 1983.
And that's where I was going, because in case Jamaicans don't remember, Diane Smith was 14 years old at the time, a third form student at Immaculate Conception High School. She was on her way to school walking when she was attacked and killed in the most horrific way. That was 1983. You, at the material time, you always insisted, what you were saying, well, how could I be involved? I was in college in Florida.
That's correct. I was at Miami-Dade Community College, and luckily, my mother of blessed memory, kept all of our passports, even the expired ones. So I was able to find it and produce it along with my transcript. And what I did was to submit that as part of my evidence in preparation for the trial of the court case. So I actually was able to put it into formally
Into evidence.
Into evidence. And then, of course, Mr. Campbell's lawyer and himself would have seen, based on the exchange of, of information. So again, that was also another very, very positive piece of evidence that I had.
Well, here's the thing again. At the time the graffiti emerged on that wall in Barbican on Birdsucker Avenue or Birdsucker Lane, it is a matter of record that the then leader of the PNP called your house to apologize to your father, Douglas Vaz, the former cabinet minister, Minister of Industry, and apologize to you. So why is it that a senior PNP figure at the time who saw the need to apologize to you, and then decades later, a senior PNP figure is mouthing the dirty rumors?
Absolutely. I'll never forget it. And remember that my father, and by extension myself, had a relationship with Michael Manley, as they were very close friends prior to 1972. So it's somebody that I knew, Uncle Michael, growing up. And at that time, they were out of Parliament, and they were meeting at the now Wyndham Hotel. That's where they had their parliamentary caucus.
Yes.
And we actually went there. He called us there, and he called Mrs. Simpson Miller.
Yes.
Was also in the meeting. She came outside, and he apologized in person and instructed that it be taken down within 1 hour. That was the instruction that he gave to whoever it was. And it was taken down, but the damage was already done, and it was planned, as I said before, and that's why it has stayed for 40 years. But the important thing, George, is despite the pain and agony of myself and my family over the 40 years, the people of Jamaica have supported me, and they have made me successful as a politician. I won a very difficult seat in 1986, while the other seat was Norbrook and Cherry Gardens.
Yes.
I took the harder seat, which is the Waterloo Division, and went on to winning 5 consecutive elections in West Portland and a by-election.
Yeah.
So that's 6 plus 1. So I've been to the polls 7 times in my political career, and I've never lost once.
Yes.
Not only in Kingston and St. Andrew, but then I went to Portland.
Yes. But for those who came in late, Minister, they would think that, all right, 1986 is on the record, but they'd think that 2007, when you won the seat to Parliament for the first time, was your return to the politics game, not remembering that in 2003 you had a hand in the JLP's local government election within the parish of Portland.
Yes, so that time, former Prime Minister Bruce Golding had asked me to go to Portland with him.
And that was your first time to Portland?
Well, I used to vacation there.
Yes.
And
I'm talking political work.
Yeah, political work. And it's quite funny because he took West Portland and sent me to East Portland. And of course, you know, that has been turned around.
Yes.
And it was for me to win 2 seats and him to win all 4.
Yes.
It ended up that they won 3 in West Portland and lost 1 by 2 or 3 votes. And I won 3.
You overperformed?
In East Portland.
Yes.
And that is when I recall Mr. Seaga saying that we were wasting time to go into the Fellowship Division, which is the Rio Grande Valley. And it was statistically impossible to win based on the results previously. And we won it by 15 votes. So again, I made my entry into Portland, as you rightly said, in working in that election. And then, of course, as a result, we were able to win the municipal corporation. And that's when you remember all what happened with the mayor.
Yes.
Benny White, etc., etc. So, yes, you are correct.
You know, you at this stage, you can look and you can brush it off and say, well, 40 years of pain. I'm reading your story over the years, and I'm hearing what people say about the rumors made about you. And I'm saying, how does a man, his wife, his children, and all those associated with the Vaz name and the Vaz household deal with this ghost of a child that you had nothing to do with the creation of?
So, my father taught me a lot, but 2 things that he taught me that stands out for me is he says, son, to thine own self be true, And secondly, he says, son, don't forget that every morning of life, while you're shaving or brushing your teeth or combing your hair, you have to look in that mirror and you need to like what you see. And no matter if you wear a beard or grow a beard, that cannot camouflage. You must like what you see. And that's what I have lived by. Not easy, but I have lived by it. And the support of my family, we're very close with them.
For what you have achieved in politics since 1986 to now, do you ever think about what could have been had this Diane Smith thing not been attached to your name?
Not really. Not really, because the truth of the matter is that I have reached a level in politics where my representational success record is 100%. And I have now served in a cabinet of Jamaica for 12 years, going on 13 years, 10 consecutive,
Yes.
and of course, 3 or whatever it was in the first term. So I have achieved. Now, if you're speaking about going higher than that,
Yes.
that has never been really on my radar. But you may be right, because at this point in time, I'm leaving politics within the next few years, and probably the highest that I have ever in terms of my recognition, my performance, and now my likability,
Yes.
because of what I have done
Yes.
in relation to policy initiatives that I have pushed the government to accept,
Yeah.
and I have implemented.
We're going to take that up when we come back after this break. This is The Point is episode 5. Daryl Vaz, the Member of Parliament for Western Portland, man in charge of energy, telecoms and transport, is in the house.
Every great project starts at Creative Building Finishes, Jamaica's only choice for the best tiles, best bathrooms, and best kitchens. Whether you're designing, building, renovating, or selecting materials for your next project, we offer exceptional quality, standout designs, and expert guidance you can trust. Visit our showroom in Kingston or Traxall, or explore full range online at www.creativebuildingfinishes.com. Creative Building Finishes, your beautiful finish begins here.
Welcome back to The Point is the Minister of Energy, Telecommunications and Transport, Daryl Vaz, MP for Western Portland, is my guest, fresh of his victory in the court, one that he is obliged to toast given the 40 years of torment that has been attached to his name and to his family name by virtue of some vicious, untrue rumors about his role in the murder of an Immaculate Conception schoolgirl all the way back in 1983. It is something that has stalked Daryl Vaz's career since then, and he says he's finally feeling as if the ghost has been put to rest. Daryl Vaz, when you won in the Waterloo division in that 86 local government election, which of course the JLP went on to lose overall, but you were one of the bright spots for the party. As I noted in the first segment, you beat two gentlemen. You ended up winning by 129 votes. Where was the key to victory for you in a Waterloo division that was, on paper, a PNP division at the time?
So let me give you the boundaries. The Waterloo division went all the way to Matilda's Corner. Then it went up to Barbican Road, came back Barbican Road, went all the way to Constant Spring Road and down to Halfway Tree. That was the boundary of the Waterloo division. So it basically took in a large part of Barbican and Grand Spend. But Barbican at the time was a complete stronghold of the People's National Party, which has subsequently changed over the years. And there was a place called Sandy Park, which you enter from Ligony Avenue, and it goes all the way back to East Kings House Road. And it's just a mass of housing that is there.
And I can tell you that right now, Sandy Park is the area where the DJ Alkaline, that's where his family comes
from.
Yeah.
It was an informal community.
Yes.
So there was no real infrastructure, road, water, etc., etc. And in my campaigning, I went there, which is, again, is something that was not the norm for a JLP candidate to go into those areas. But I went there and realized that one of the biggest issues for them was light. No light. And coincidentally, I'm now the Minister of Light. And I did an initiative with the JPS to get and formalize light in Sandy Park. And for that, I got a lot of support, not necessarily in terms of votes, but persons who would not vote against me.
Right, so the comrades in the place said, because you give them the light,
one,
they can't vote for you because they are comrades, but they're not voting against you.
First of all, they said I couldn't do it.
Yes.
And I did it. So when I did it, that was the trade-off. And I was able to suppress that area, and hence 129 victory.
Yeah,
but strategically,
yeah.
And it was all above board.
Yeah, the thing is people should understand that in a local government election, to win by over 100 votes in any division is a good victory.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a close thing to say, well, only 100. 100 is a significant, because there were about, if memory serves me correctly, there was about 3,500 voters registered. So for you to win by 129, it's a sizable victory.
That's correct.
Your father, Douglas Vaz, I mean, you would admit that you traded significantly of the Dougie Vaz good name as his son. And I wanted to tell me about how Dougie Vaz came to be involved with the politics and Edward Seaga at the time, because he wasn't a man involved in politics from the get-go.
No. So his political entry came on the night of the state of emergency when it was called. Mm-hmm. The JLP was on retreat in Montego Bay, and state of emergency was declared. My father called a family meeting and indicated to us that he's not leaving Jamaica, and therefore he has to fight for Jamaica. As you know, at that time, people were fleeing by night.
Many flights a day.
Leaving their 5 flights a day, leaving all their assets, giving away their assets, etc. And we said, do what you have to do. And he went to Mr. Seaga's house in Jacksonville and waited until he got in from Montego Bay, and told him that he was from the private sector. He was then the president of the Jamaica Manufacturers Association, either current or just outgoing president. And Mr. Seaga said to him, give me 24 hours and I'll get back to you. Got back to him and told him he wanted to run Northern St. Andrew, which was a strong PNP, 27 years, unbroken, by Alan Isaacs, who also ended up in the
switched
Labour
to the
Party.
JPS.
And went on to be one of 13 out of 52, I think it was at the time, that won in 1976 by 100 and something votes.
Under a state of emergency.
Under a state of emergency. But he paid the price because, first of all, we had to move from our home up on Constant Spring Road to my grandparents' apartment at Manor Court Apartments, because we were warned after his factory on Ashenheim Road was burned flat on the very night.
What's the factory manufacturing?
My mom did swimsuits, son is swimwear, and my father did lingerie from his parents.
Yes.
So he went from riches to rags on that very night, because he was a very successful businessman, of course, and he spent the next 4 years on the political campaign as a member of parliament,
opposition
MP, but also having to strategize to maneuver between what was happening at that time. So he never paid any attention to his business. And then, of course, 1980, he became minister. Yes. And
so how him feed the children with the factory gone and him paying attention to politics?
My mother, she had a very successful swimwear operation, and she just kept it going and was able to send all of us to school. I'm sure that they had savings. I mean, they weren't young at that time, but the fact of the matter is that it was an ultimate sacrifice. But he did so and never, ever said one day that he regretted it.
But when he spoke to you, though, about his decision to offer himself to service to the JLP through Edward Seaga as leader, what did he say to you that compelled him to make that decision and to not flee like the others who could have run?
That he's not leaving Jamaica and he's not breaking his family. Some people had sent their family over there and stayed here. He said no, his family has to remain one unit, and also he's not leaving Jamaica. He's not allowing anybody to run him out of Jamaica, and he was very strong on it, and he played a very pivotal role as an opposition member of parliament. Those 13 MPs is who was able to stave off what could have been a much worse situation. And I'm talking about going to the hilltop with Fidel Castro, literally, absolutely. And it was, I mean, the 1980 election was a civil war. I mean, I can't even tell you some of the stories on the experiences, but I was with him for that entire time. I was 13 years old in 76.
Yes.
So I stayed with him and I campaigned with him, despite the fact that he was warned, it's too dangerous, this, that, the other. He would allow me to come. And
yes.
Everybody, my mother, my grandparents, everybody was upset. Yes. Because every day was another incident.
Yes. Somebody is dying.
Oh, right around you,
yes.
right in front of you. The driver at the time was shot through two hands. That's who used to take us to school. So it was a real, but that's what really got me. That's what really got me passionate about the politics.
As a rising star of the certainly not national politics, but JLP politics at the time in the early 80s, because of course you're with your father and you're learning the ropes. And people saw Daryl. You had a reputation from then as Daryl gets things done. So you were always given tasks and you were getting them done. Your political opponents would have tried, I'm sure, many things to stop the progress of this man. And people think about political opponents as people external to your party, but there were opponents within, I'm sure you'd accept. Do you think, have you ever thought that anybody in your immediate circle, inside the Labour Party, may have had a role in sowing the seed of this Diane Smith Association?
No. Why not? They may have used it. They may have used it to their advantage, or what they thought was their advantage, but no, that was a plot hatched within my opponents.
Your opponents?
That's 100%.
Your mother and father, of course, are not here now, but they would have lived with you through the worst of this rumor and the attachment of your name and their name to this thing. How do you think they would have accepted what has happened?
They are celebrating. Wherever they are celebrating because obviously they had to be tough and strong for all of us, but you can imagine what that would have done to a parent. I mean, knowing that it's not true as well, and feeling helpless in terms of how do I diffuse. But it was, let me tell you something, and I say it 10 times a day, it's the worst, most cruel, wicked thing that any human being could do to another human being, especially doing it for political purposes. The one thing, you're a man have a problem, you take them girl or whatever, that's one thing. But when you are going to sit down and deviously strategize and come up with something like that for what? Political gain, as I say, God don't sleep. So they will get what they deserve. But in the meantime, vindication.
Yes.
And I don't think anybody is going to try and use that again after this, because the bottom line, it won't have that effect.
Hear you on that.
It won't have that effect.
Let's take the break. After the break, we talk about the business that Vaz gets up to every day, running a portfolio that has 3 areas under it: energy, transport, and telecoms. This is The Point, is a nationwide production coming to you from S Hotel in New Kingston.
You know, it's a joke thing every time you don't use a T-tag. I mean, with a T-tag, your 10th trip every week is free. And for every trip after that for the same week, it's 10% off. So you wait for it. Get your T-tag today and drive like the winner you are every time.
and save time. If you don't have a tag, you a waste time. Yeah, your seatbelt buckle and you're driving safe. Use up your T-tag, drive and safe.
Drive like the winner you deserve to be with the T-tag every time.
Welcome back to The Point Is, the third segment of the fifth episode. The Minister of Energy, Telecoms and Transport, Daryl Vaz, is with me. I have to ask about the energy future of Jamaica, because we all know that there are negotiations going on now to get a new long-term partner where energy supply and generation and transmission is concerned in Jamaica. It could be the current partner, JPS, it could be somebody else, but you want the best deal in town. What is it that is going on in the background now as that magical date of June 2027 comes up?
So that process is moving ahead. There's a team, a negotiating team that the government has set up. We have gotten overseas consultants, and we are now in the midst of procurement for lawyers to assist the Attorney General's chambers, who obviously has full responsibility. But because of the expertise that is required, we want to make sure that we have a good, solid team all around. So that is ongoing.
Who's leading your negotiation team?
My former permanent secretary, Carol Palmer.
Okay.
And we have private sector and government bodies and agencies. So we have been going through, we've been meeting. We are now in the final stages of, as I said, the consultants for the legal and technical side. And basically, we should be in a position to know whether or not the discussions with JPS are moving in the direction that we want or not. I would say within the next 60 days.
Marubeni and East West, of course, hold these significant stakes in JPS, 40% each. Have either ownership group reached out to the government to say, well, to try to soften the landing?
So Marubeni, before I wrote the letter last year indicating that the license would not be
extended.
Will not be extended, yes, or renewed, a new negotiation, right, of a license with different terms.
Yes.
They were actually on the market to sell their 40%. Because of the letter and what that triggered, a 2-year license that was left.
Yes.
Obviously that would have had to be pulled back. We have had discussions with the management. We have had discussions with the shareholders of both sides, along with the ministry, and even up to the level of the Prime Minister. They have indicated their interest in continuing, and the bottom line is it's all about the terms of the license, because what exists now, as I've said before, cannot carry us to where we need to go in terms of energy security and cost of energy. So, as you know, we will keep you posted on that. It's a very sensitive issue and time. But the bottom line is that the commitment that I make to Jamaica is that we will have a new license. I can't say who will be the operators of that license, but we will have a new license with favorable terms to the government and people of Jamaica.
Keen observers, though, Minister, look around the world and look for examples of a country trying to do what we are setting out to do, which is to radically change how energy is generated, transmitted, and sold in this country. Difficult to find an example. So I ask you, why is it that JPS was not invited to the table to align itself with the new realities of how power should be generated and transmitted in this country? Why go the whole route of trying to open up something that, it's hard to find successful examples of it being done the way you wanted it.
The terms of the license dictated that we had to make a decision. If we didn't do anything, it would be an automatic renewal. So I was kind of boxed in. And the decision that I took, obviously, was the only decision that would allow us to be able to negotiate a new license, which is, as I said, 2027.
Yes.
It is obvious that the best scenario would be a successful negotiation with the current operators. But I don't hold that.
And you can't influence that outcome.
And the bottom line is I have a responsibility. And therefore, what we have to do, based on the time that we have, is run a parallel situation.
Yes.
Whereas, obviously, proceeding with the negotiations in good faith, but making sure that in the back that we have an option, because we can't wait until something happens to then start that process. So we as the government have to look to see what are the other options.
I'm looking, though, at the immediate future, Minister, and where your energy policy, by extension the government's, is being implemented. And I ask myself, when I look at a country like Uruguay, which in very short order, in or about 10 years, Minister, has brought solar and wind on stream to provide 98% of the energy needs in that country. And there are several countries with examples of using solar and wind to do much of the electricity, provide power to power the country in a short space of time. Why are we so far behind?
I had the pleasure of meeting that
Yes.
Former minister who came to do the Morris Facey lecture, I think 2 weeks ago, who now runs an NGO to give and help countries to implement what Uruguay did. Very, very interesting. As you know, our policy is 50% renewables by 2030. We're moving apace in terms of that. We did a 100 megawatt procurement. That was successful. That was 2023 or 2024, I think it was. And now we are about to go out within the next month or two with 300 megawatts with 150 battery storage. So we are moving apace in terms of introducing renewables. There is several companies in Jamaica, one of which was badly damaged down at Paradise, Westmoreland. I forget the name of the thing. And I had discussions with them, and they are not only rebuilding, but rebuilding more resilient and with better use of technology. So we are moving in the right direction. It's a slow process, but the fact of the matter is I do believe that the new terms and conditions of a license will assist in us meeting the achievement of reduced electricity cost, which is, so let's just use one thing. Technical losses, which include theft.
Yes.
20%. All of that is going to the consumer because it's a direct pass-through. That in itself, if we can break that.
Yeah. On the point of technical losses and theft, Jamaicans remain angry. And this is a large part of the reason, Minister, for the negative sentiments against JPS or towards JPS, which is a fantastic company, has done much where corporate responsibility is concerned. It's a very good company for Jamaica over time. But people dislike JPS strongly because when they realize that big man A, big man B, big man C, T-flight, and you, the consumer, has to pay for it. Of course, communities have people who steal electricity as well, and we have to pay for it. Jamaicans are saying, under a new license, why would any government require its people to pay for what other people steal?
Fundamental issue. And the fact of the matter is that, aside and apart from what you just said, the bottom line is that there's no incentive for JPS to do what needs to be done, which I agree has a political aspect to it and a responsibility of the government as well. But the fact of the matter is that the technical losses are going up instead of coming down. So there's a fundamental issue there in terms of what do we do, and that has to be addressed in the new license.
But can you tell Jamaicans that under a new license they will not have to pay for electricity that somebody else steals?
That is the aim. That is the aim. Absolutely. That's one of the big ticket items. And the other one is, which I have a big problem with, is the Emergency Disaster Fund, which is funded by the consumers. But the consumers have no access or benefit from it. It is only used for emergency purposes. For the JPS, we had 50 almost 60 million US dollars before barrel.
Yes.
Now, if we have 3 million, we have plenty. So they have gotten, call it round figures, $50 million in the last 2 years.
US dollars.
US dollars to assist with the rebuilding of their grid.
Yes.
Because of emergencies.
Yes.
But if the pole blow down and drop on your concrete wall or your zinc,
You have to repair it.
you have no...
You can't claim.
Absolutely.
Can't claim. The minister says that under a new license, the aim is for you to not have to pay for electricity that somebody else steals. That will be the proof of this new pudding where energy is concerned that this government says it's baking. More on the point is after these. Welcome back to The Point is the final segment, speaking with the Minister in charge of Energy, Telecommunications and Transport, Daryl Vaz, the Member of Parliament for Western Portland, the distinction he has held since 2007. Minister Vaz, the last time I can recall a government in Jamaica formulating and publishing a transport policy was when Robert Pickersgill had the Ministry of Transport, Works, Housing, and it may have been infrastructure. It was a super ministry of about 4 areas. And that was in the 1990s. Since then, we haven't had a transport policy. Your opposition counterpart, Michael Phillips, says part of the problems we're having with transport is because you have no policy. You're making ad hoc decisions and decisions on a spur of the moment, and it's not good for transport in Jamaica. How do you respond?
I take on board what he has said, and we are working assiduously. It's not easy to come up with a holistic transport policy. It's not easy based on all of the variables that we face in terms of transport in Jamaica. What I can say categorically is since I became minister, I think it was May 2023, I was given transport, that the relationship with the transport sector and the government has improved significantly because there's a trust level among myself and them. I have an open door policy. They all can contact me. I've set up a steering committee. That's the first thing I did, which has on there Transport Authority, JUTC, other government entities, and a representative chosen by them of all the associations. So when we meet in that room, I don't go to it, but when they meet, they discuss and formulate a plan that is all of them, which has worked greatly because before that you had, I can't even tell you, 100 different transport groups and lobby groups, etc., and everybody lobbying for something different. So there was no coordination, there was not. Anyway, bottom line is, we have done that. Public transport in Jamaica, as you see it, is a problem. Being disciplined, the way that the taxi operators or public passenger operators have to interact with Transport Authority, which we are now moving to more electronically in terms of renewals, etc., etc. Long are gone the days when you used to see the lines down at Transport Authority on Maxwell Avenue because everybody have to renew because there's one cut-off date. So there are things that are being done, but it's not at where I want it to be, but we are moving in the right direction. And you can see by virtue of the whole situation with the fare increase
Yes.
that I had to pull back on based on Minister Clark's intervention, and they waited, just got the balance of it in June and July after lobbying and no disruptions, despite the fact that it was long delayed or longer than they expected.
Yes.
So listen, the fact of the matter is that it's a work in progress, but I commit and tell Jamaican people that that's one of the things that I would like to fix before I leave.
So you want to put that policy in, and you're telling Jamaica that you have the stakeholders on board and organized, and that's an important part of the relationship.
And then obviously the JUTC speaks for itself. I mean, when I took over, the misery index was at an all-time high in terms of the bus service, the times, etc., etc. And we have gotten 275 new buses since I came, right? With another 100 to come next year, and that doesn't include school buses. You know, school buses run by JUTC but separate. So next year we get another 100. We have changed the fuel type.
Yes.
Change the fuel type, so we're now using CNG and hoping to move to range extended electric within the next order next year.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, again, that has had a huge impact on the operating costs. You know what was happening with the theft of the diesel. You see how many people have been charged and brought before the courts. We have Owen Ellington there now as the new MD.
Yes.
So that in itself, again, we have new routes, express routes, doing fantastically well. Kingston to Mandeville, Kingston Ocheres to Negril. I mean, people are now using the public transport system, the buses, more than ever. I'll give you one statistic. We have 3 depots: Spanish Town, Rockfort, Portmore. Portmore depot increased its passenger movements for last month from 600,000 to 1 million passengers.
In Portmore alone?
In Portmore depot alone.
By virtue of the new buses they got?
It moved its revenues
Yes.
from 60 million to 100 million.
Revenue or fare income?
Fare income.
Fare income.
160 to 100 million. Now, that must indicate that people who drive cars are parking their cars and using the bus based on a level of reliability and comfort and safety. So again, we're moving in the right direction with that, and hopefully, within another month, the app will be launched, which you will be able to use your phone
Yes.
and understand where the bus is, how long the next bus before it reach, what route, etc., because technology is also going to drive the level of improvement and efficiency.
School bus at the time, at the height of the political campaign, some dismissed it as...
You mean the election winner?
That's for you to say. Some people say it was gimmickry at its best, and of course we know the attack that it faced from the opposition. Several months on, is it working?
One year coming up in September. Not one child has been injured or loss of life using those 110 school buses. We are moving between 14 and 15,000 school children per day on all the different routes. You have a card that you swipe, and once you swipe it, a parent or a teacher can know that the child has entered the bus, the child has exited the bus. So it has improved safety, which is number one concern, because they are purpose-built. There have been accidents, don't get me wrong, but
Vehicles have accidents.
no damage, no
yeah.
significant damage, because those yellow buses are like tanks, based on how they're manufactured. Improvement in attendance,
Oh, that has also resulted?
95%. Every aspect that you would want for a child to be able to wake up and go to school on a dedicated bus compared to what we used to obtain. The improvement in grades are there, the Ministry of Education is reporting. And the fact of the matter is that it is by far one of the best policies that has been implemented by any government because of what it does for the children, but most importantly, no nation, no country can prosper unless you have an educated society.
Yes.
So it's helping towards doing that.
Time is running out, and the point of running out, you say that you're leaving the politics. And you've said that at the time when we are working on oil discoveries. What's happening in the background where the Walter Grant is concerned?
I laugh because it's funny. It's really, when you listen to people on the road, it's almost as if you find oil already. Boss, you can't leave the oil. How are you going to leave the oil? You're mad? So where we are now is scientific evidence is showing traces of oil.
Yeah.
You can't put it any further than that.
Right. But what is happening now?
Unless you drill.
Yes, yes.
So United Oil and Gas has until 2028 to drill. Or the license expires.
Right.
We have renewed it, I think, 2 or 3 times. So they're on the clock. Their biggest problem is to raise the capital.
Are they raising that capital?
I saw an article where they raised 500,000 pounds in the papers this week.
Yes.
Unfortunately, 500,000 pounds is not going to carry us. It's in about 60 million US dollars to drill. What I can say is that because of the scientific findings, companies that were not interested in having talks with them are now interested. And these are the big boys I'm talking about. And I know that United Oil and Gas has been on the road.
Yes.
I know that they are having several meetings, but obviously the proof of the pudding is the check. So we have to remain optimistic, but cautiously. But I can say that the PM was just in Guyana last week, or week before last, and he told me that he had discussions with the president over there.
Yes.
And they feel also over there that the same line
that is giving them
Eastern
oil.
Caribbean
Is the same line.
is coming into this area as well.
December 15, 1963. That's your birthday.
Yes, sir.
December 15, 1963. So
63 this year.
So December 15 this year, you're 63. Why are you leaving politics at a time when your grandchildren are used to you not being home? Your wife doesn't want you at home. Your children are adults minding their own business. What are you going to go home to do?
I have decided that I want to spend my last good years, God's willing, with my family and my friends.
So I'm lying then, your family does want you at home.
They can't wait. They can't wait. My children, I have 5 grandkids in 5 years. My oldest would be 7 or 8, and the youngest born in January. And I can tell you something. To see them and be around them is the most joyous thing that any man would have. I always said, and I think I've said it publicly before, anything that I do 110%. And to do that, you have to have a passion. And anything that I feel that passion is not there and not driving me to give 110%, that I must do the right thing.
And go.
And that's why I am where I am.
Hear you.
I have served, I have done well, and the bottom line is I'm hopeful that God will give me a few more good, healthy years so that I can enjoy those years. It's a stressful job.
Yes.
And no matter how you see the wife and the children and the grandchildren, they live it and feel it every day. They see it on your face. And the bottom line is that I'm hopeful. But my time is drawing nigh.
Hear you on
I
that.
want to do some things. I want to do the school bus. I want to do the JPS license.
The transport policy.
So if you ask me, I would say maybe I have two years, maximum 3. But definitely, before the next
general election. Hear you on that. Thank you for your time. Daryl Vaz,
thank you very much.
The Member of Parliament for Western Portland and the Minister in charge of Energy, Transport and Telecommunications. This has been episode 5. The point is that we came to you from S Hotel here on St. Lucia Avenue in New Kingston. Thanks to my production team. Thanks to you for watching. We'll see you next week.